This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. This, I'm sure, at some point in your life has happened. You had this realization where you thought something or someone was one thing, and later you realized they really weren't. Or maybe they changed. But I have to believe that they probably were pretty much, the core of them was the same. But you didn't see it. We're going to start with that today. Red flags. She has an interesting take on all of this, which we're going to get to. She's an amazing psychotherapist, works with people in all stages of their lives. It could be somebody in a relationship, could be individuals, even teens. So much insight comes from Dr. Hadass Harel, who is back with us. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. The mountains of snow outside my window are finally melting, so that's a big relief.
Yeah, same here in New York. Finally getting a little bit warmer.
Finally.
Yeah. It's so funny. We got warmer weather here in the Northeast, but we have the time change. That's when we're doing this show. So it's like 1 extra hour less of sleep. So you can't really even fully enjoy it because many of us are walking around a little bit like zombies today, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yes, we're a little disoriented, and we are really disoriented. People are losing their minds also. They don't know what to think, which is never helpful.
Lots going on in our world, right?
Yes, and we have to watch out and not turn on each other because we have to have the right to think, and we should exercise our right to think, and we should not follow blindly, which is very important. We should think, and often we should think with our heart and with our human logic also, and not just say, oh, this looks powerful to me, so we should just follow. Because we should never become dumb, even if we woke up too early.
Have you noticed that in life where what you thought turned out to be not that? Whether it is people
happened. Or it has happened, like a lot of things. I've learned some lessons when I was young that taught me to always think for myself, to always look at situations and really say what is really here. I really made a commitment to always look at what is and not just look at a situation blindly. And this is really important. And I think sometimes we learn to be chicken, and you know how chickens, they travel in groups. Many types of fowl travel in groups. This is not good. We just get under some kind of a common wing and we just say, well, we all go this way. We don't need to think for ourselves, but we do need to think for ourselves.
You have an interesting thought that I'd love to hear your reasoning behind it. And again, I don't judge anybody, and I have a very open mind about everything. Causes. You feel not to support causes, right?
I say never support causes. Never support causes blindly.
Okay.
Yes, when I was young, I was really I mean, this is funny. You all know I was a world liberator. I marched a lot when I was 14, 15, 16, like most of us. And the things I was supporting may have looked like good things, but then, I don't believe in organizations that murder for freedom. It is not okay. I mean, I will say it openly. I am not good with, the Hamas was elected in democratic elections, and the first thing they did was, for example, I mean, we all have, and I will say this, and I'm sure I will get a lot of flack for that, but they push the formerly elected government. I mean, I won't even get to the recent massacre, but they push their entire former elected government off the high rises they still had then. They pushed the entire LGBT community they still had there off the high rises they still had then. They do things like that, and they were elected in democratic elections. Um, I have less problems with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, but they were also elected by democratic elections. So, and I don't have a problem with them, but um, so I don't march for nothing. Uh, I work with individuals and I work for human rights and I work with refugees individually. Uh,
Yeah.
individually. I will work with anyone individually if they can prove to me that they have genuine hurt.
So that's one situation. What about charitable causes, if you will? Are you on board for those, the ones that you align with?
No, because
Hmm.
do you know the percentage of that is seized for overhead?
So
Seriously. Unless I know the organization and unless I know exactly who runs it, anything that is advertised worries me.
I understand.
You
Because
know how much work I do in third world countries.
well, I'm talking about local charities.
But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Any rescue mission, you know how much of that goes to overhead.
Yes, I got you there. I
I
understand.
am terrified of overhead.
There's a valid point, and I
I
totally agree.
I mean, just because something says nonprofit,
Yep.
I've worked for nonprofits. You know
I've
what
I've
they pay their
volunteered.
workers?
I'm not taking anything away from nonprofits,
Do
but
you know? I mean, I worked for, I will not name them because I will be liable, but do you know what they pay their volunteers? Nothing. Do you know what you have to pay? Do you know what a medical staff person has to pay in order to enter Gaza?
no idea.
$3,000. And this is beyond having to carry their own insurance in case they die there or get injured. This is the absolute truth. You know why? Because I work as a therapist with some of the organizations that give them therapy after they come out. This is a medical doctor volunteering.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've seen it many different ways where, and I agree with you on the overhead. If you're going to support something, you need to get all the facts because we
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
where the money goes. And so many times, I've even had this
And
thought
I
driving
have
in.
friends in Gaza. Never mind, I also have friends in Israel. I have friends that I helped get out of Gaza also.
Hmm. So let's look at this on a broad level when it comes to judging. Judging, I mean that in a different way than you might think. You meet somebody, you think they're one thing, and then you come to learn later, and that could be a week, it could be years. They're not what you thought they were. Same thing with organizations, as you identified before. Why do we not realize, maybe see the red flags in such relationships? What's going on there that we don't see what it is in
Because
the
we're
beginning?
all a mixed bag. Like someone listening to me now could have said, wow, I thought you were an open-minded person. We just found out you're vicious.
That's their opinion.
Or like I can get someone for therapy, and then I say, God help me. I just found out this is a common one for me. I just found out you're a racist. I don't think I want to work with you. I've had situations where I have, or worse than that, I just found out you're a batterer. You abuse your spouse and your children. Or I just found out you are bigoted in some other way. I have had situations where I had to say to someone, and at one time, this is actually a good story. I was um, in the state of Massachusetts. In order to be any kind of clergy that lays hands on people in prayer, you have to have a little series of courses in ethics. And I was teaching ethics, and as opposed to many other teachers of ethics, I didn't mind teaching religious people because most people teaching ethics are opposed to religion, opposed to typical religion. So I didn't mind teaching Catholics even in the middle of the scandal, uh, the priest scandal. I didn't mind teaching Pentecostal priests, even though they do the tongues thing and do exorcisms, and sometimes the laying of hands is for the purpose of getting spirits out of people because I participated in stuff like that. So I was teaching clergy courses in ethics and in the legal requirements of ethics, as in informed consent, as in when you have duty to report, all that stuff. Because a clergy has the same duty to report that a therapist does, or a
Hmm.
police officer, and they need to know that. Whether they will comply with that or not, they have a duty to know that. And they have to sign on to that when they graduate as a clergy. So this was really interesting. And the average person teaching ethics would not teach someone who is of a formal religion because they may be as bigoted as the next person in that they would not acknowledge formal religion. So this was one of the most fascinating things I've done in my life. And one of those priests who could barely speak English. So I did a couple of those courses actually in very broken Spanish because even their Spanish was not necessarily traditional. And I did one of those courses in Portuguese with a translator because I do speak Spanish, but I don't speak Portuguese. One of those priests said to me, I hope you don't work with bad people. Because if you work with bad people, you make them healthier, you make them stronger. You make it easier for them to operate in the world. And so you essentially support their evil.
Hmm.
Because before, if they were a shaky bad person, and maybe they were hindered a little bit by their panic attacks or by their depression, if you work with them, I know you're a good therapist, they become stronger, their evil becomes more grounded. So I really seriously hope that especially you don't work with bad people, because then their evil is on you.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, I came to teach him ethics. And as it often happens, he taught me a million times more than I taught him. This man that everybody frowns upon because he speaks in tongues, he goes into trances in church. He is like a leader of a community that people may really question. He gets spirits out of people, and he taught me the lesson of my life. And so I have never taught an ethics course after that without teaching this.
Hmm.
I don't have a student that studied with me and didn't study this. And
I
so one of my principles really has always been, but even more so after this. And I have openly said to people after that, what you're doing is not good. Work on this, come back to me. When you're committed to not doing this. Or it can become a treatment goal that you control your violence with your family. You can't live with them until you are not bad.
well, I can honestly say in my journey, I've met people, even partnered with people that were very religious, and that's wonderful. But I'm going to say this, and this is my experience the few times that this appeared. They were hiding behind a religion. They weren't really great people. But I didn't know that. But I just assumed because they were religious that they had a different, and I'm not very religious, but I don't, religion, politics, I don't get into that. Um, but I can say these words. They were hiding behind their religion. And when you started peeling the layers back, or if it was a business situation, it was one partnership I was involved with many years ago. They revealed who they really were, and they had some challenges, but didn't see it in the beginning. That and other situations. How come we ignore the red flags, or we don't see somebody for what they really are? And I'm not being negative here. I think we've all experienced that situation where what you thought really wasn't. Why do we miss that?
Because any pedestal is a place to hide.
Mm,
Any pedestal. I mean, it can be an educational pedestal. It can be a political pedestal.
point. Hmm.
Any pedestal.
Yeah.
Now, the people I was working with who were religious leaders were people, because of the cultural situations, who come to begin with from the fringes of society. So it so happened it was a different situation. But they came to me to begin with in a different situation. So I believe they were good people.
Mm.
Plus, I would have booted them out in a minute after this. And they
Mm.
also got to me through clients. So my position in society, in the society they came from, I could boot them out. I knew who they were working with. If they took a bad situation, I mean, I have done things in that community. So, but we need to know what they're doing. We need to know what they're doing. We need to know from people, if people talk, you need to be, I also, I think, have been blessed in that I did have some power. I did have some social power. Um, and I did have information because I worked with community. It's just that sometimes community, you know what I'm also thinking as was speaking is that sometimes we follow the media as opposed to actual grassroots exposure to real information. I'm thinking, for example, about India, where people, or my community in India, is a community where there's people don't read and write. Literacy rate is about 15%. And it's very easy to get a lynch mob going, a literal lynch mob, where people go and kill. And there were, when I was there were a couple of suicide bombings by Kashmiri terrorists who were Muslim. And we were very worried that they would get the Hindu crowd to lynch the Muslim crowd, because that was the objective of this. And this is Banaras. This is the place, it's the most ancient city in India, and there are kind of steps going all the way to the river, and like we have the weaver community that they still make the silk in the same way that it was made 5,000 years ago, and if you try to get them to make it a little bit different and maybe make it a little bit longer, because I was trying to get them to do that because people here are taller, and I was trying to sell it for them here. They won't do it because that's not the way it was made 5,000 years ago. So we can't change it. But the weavers are either Hindu, and they're a particular caste, or they converted to Islam maybe like 3,000 years ago and they're Muslim, but they're exactly the same. They're the same people. They have the same festivals. There's no difference. They're so strict, but they're one people. And to try to get them at each other is just wrong. You shouldn't do that. It's so wrong. And we somehow were able to get them, instead of to kill each other, to do a unity parade. And they did exactly what they were going to do with like machetes, and they did the same parade they were going to do and go burn each other like they did in other cities like Mumbai. But what they did is they went to a couple of symbols of power, like the police station and another place, and they got the police officers that were there and were drunk at night, and they carried them out, and they burnt the empty shed of the police station. And it was an empty shell of the police station. It was nothing. And then it took the police station, which was empty, and they took the police officers way away from there. No one was hurt. And they got to have their parade, and they went home. But it was because we did that. And otherwise, and this is like the police that tortures them and hangs them upside down, and really, because these are low caste people. The police can do anything to them. When I was there, I was spending half my time to go, even the priests, the police does anything to. I was spending half my time to go and charm the police into giving them back to me. So they were willing. It was the equivalent to them to do a parade of unity as opposed to doing a lynch mob. It was just as good.
Well, it seems that they did what they needed to do
they had a show of dignity
Right.
and a
And
ceremony
unity.
with flowers.
Hmm.
And that was good enough.
I just looked up. We're out of time. Um, interesting direction today in talking with you, Hadass. And lots to think about. What we stand for, what we those things we put on a pedestal. Might want to look at
And
them a
ways
little
to
closer.
not be powerless is so important
Mm.
because when we feel powerless, we do stupid things.
And that's a whole other podcast we could do. Who or what is taking away your power?
Our power.
Our
Our
power.
power.
Yeah, yeah. What's the best way to find you if somebody is looking for some therapy, wants to talk, wants to learn more about the process working with you? What's the best way?
Well, there's my number. It's 508-631-7649. And they can also find me on BetterHelp, which is an app where I work. And they can also find us here,
Yep.
which is very cool. And we will talk about what they want to talk about.
And thank you for that reminder. Please, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. Have a comment about today or something you want to dig into. Doesn't matter what it is. No judgment whatsoever. Keep it anonymous if you so choose. And we'll dig into that next time. Thank you for today.
And it will get better. The snow is melting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things will even out.
Positive vibes all around no matter what. All right. We'll catch up next week, okay?
Take care.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.